DeSilvis, this is a special InfoWars exclusive. We're going to read the rules that were given from HUD. HUD is a facility for all public housing and safety, and rules and regulations will be given. This is amendment form that was given. All rules will be in effect on June 1st. This was handed out to all tenants and residents of the Harbor Square apartment complex unit property as of Friday or Wednesday. This was handed out last week. Says, attention all residents. Okay. Says, attached you will find a copy of our new house rules and regulations, is what it should say, but somebody didn't really type this up very well. All right, and it says, please read and sign all the attached pink copy paper form of this form that indicates that you have understand and have fully read all these rules. Okay, and have understood the changes and have also received the attached copy form, which is what this is. It says it has a blue form, so apparently other places are using blue, but here they went with pink, so they corrected it and put pink there. The pink form or blue form, depending on where you are, must be returned to our office no later than Friday, May the 8th, 2015, which is coming up. Here we're already on Tuesday night. And it says the new house rules will become effective on June the 1st, 2015. It says some of the changes include the following. So listen to this. In Section 7, where it says about resident behavior, it says any public form of intoxication is prohibited, which means it's not allowed in the common and parking areas of the property facility. All right? So at all, I mean, it's not allowed because that's true. It should not be public. You should not be doing that out in public areas or breezeways. That should be something only limited to your unit. So I agree with that. The manufacturing of any sale or use of any drug products, including medical marijuana, which is known as cannabis, is considered. Now, of course, they don't have that written here, but it should be written there, but they don't have it written right. Is considered illegal under federal law for any property or any resident that is receiving federal assistance. It's really what it says, because I've already read this already several times. And even if it is permitted even by state law, it says the owner has the right to terminate all tenancies or assistance for any household that has has believed to be using illegal controlled substances. So that can apply not just to drugs or marijuana, but it can also apply to your prescription drugs. So that's a flag I want to put right there, that flag right there, illegal controlled substances. Okay, so that can mean what you also get from the doctor. You know, I've talked to a nurse that's retired downstairs at Merriam's, this sweet lady. Look at Section 2. We want to bring this out. That's pertaining to keys and locks to your apartment. It says a fee. It used to be free during business hours, but during the weekend, they say if they got to come out, it costs a maintenance dude. You get $30. So it's like don't lock your key out. I don't know why this would apply to anybody because you can't really lock your door without your key. So I don't know how the hell you lock yourself out. All right, but anyway, we'll be charged and assessed if management has been called to unlock any door before or after the regular normal business hours of a given day, or on the weekends. See how I word it? Sounds a whole lot better. And a fee of $15 will be charged and assessed to each resident to unlock any doors during business hours. That means from 9 to 5 p.m. It says when the office is open. So, if, in case it's open or if it's some kind of bad weather or something or holiday, then of course then it will be $30. They don't say that, but that's it. If it's during the week and it's a holiday, then it's considered. It will be $30 because that'd be like a weekend thing. Section 13 pertaining to occupancy. All residents are not allowed to have same individuals as an overnight guest or guest for more than, this is a weird thing here, of a total of 7 days or in a 6-month period without written or approval from management. So you got to get written permission from the management. You got to tell them, well, I'm going to have Beth Ann, John Shields, Jeremy Shields and John. Well, I did say John, didn't I? Steven, I forgot you, sweetie. All right, but I'm going to have you stay over here and babysit you for about, every day. And, you got to give them proof and all. And then if they approve it, which it will be approved, but it has to be approved first. There's really nothing wrong with that. They just want to know who's in your apartment for occupancy and for taxes and for liability reasons. That's really what that's all about, folks. It says any absences from your unit, this is another change that's happened, that's in excess of a month or more will be considered you abandoning your property. It says without any advance written notification from you, the tenant, then the management could, constitute that you have abandoned your property of your unit. And legal action or actions may actually be, initiated. Okay? And they can do that because they can interpret that as being bad. It says, if you have any questions, of course, I'm not going to read that, call the number of the office. If you're a resident here, you know what that number is. We're going to break down some of these rules here because a lot of them don't sound bad, but there's a few in here that really do sound bad, sound weird. We're going to talk about growing. That's not even in here. We're going to talk about how they cut down the strawberries outside apartment building 4 yesterday, or on Monday. They cut down a whole bush of berries, and somebody had some other plants that they cut down too. So they don't want you growing anything. All right, let's look at the table of contents of what is in this section. All right, section number 1, the management team. That's the first section. Number 2 will be the office hours of when it's open. Maintenance will be number 3. Payments and other payments of rent and regarding rent and when it's paid. Security deposits. Resident organization procedures, resident behavior, okay, resident compliance or complaint or grievance procedures, okay. You got a problem with the management or a problem with somebody, we'll go over that. Resident insurance, okay, your safety, keys and locks to your apartment. Number 12, vehicles and parking. All right, number 13, occupancy, resident liability, what you're responsible for in and outside your building, in your unit and around your building. If you cause damage, you're responsible for the charges that are incurred. Pet policy. There's a $300 pet deposit, or they say agreement, see the office, but there is. And you can pay that all within 12-month period. If you get pets, you're allowed to have them here. Some places do not allow it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and tell you that, but here they do. Amenities that can be considered like your like a workout room, a pool area, a swimming. I already said pool, or where you sit out where you sit out and discuss, in the designated guest areas of the community. Community appearance and appeal. How the community should appear to people that come in here to visit or to move in, possibly, or a guest. How it should look. It should be proper and look good. Look, really good. Now, how do you take care of your apartment? I'm not going to say home because it's not a home; it's an apartment. All right. Now, pest control. What policies is there? Utilities, like a power bill. That's a utility bill. Okay. Energy. How to save energy. That's conservation. Is saving energy. Fire protection. Okay. Apartment inspections. Regarding that. Vacating the apartment, like when you leave, or if you have to leave because of a violation. How you have the apartment is how it needs to be when you moved in. It needs to be like that when you leave, so you can get your deposit back. Changes to rules and or regulations from time to time will happen. Transfer from one handicap unit to a regular unit. And then, of course, signatures, which we won't cover because that's all self-explanatory. So we'll skip that section. All right. Breaking it down here, Michael DeSilvis, DeSilvis' Media. This is InfoWars exclusive broadcast. Okay, this is live on the air. Okay, the management team that would consist of it here would be the American Apartment Management Company Incorporation. Okay, means it's a corporation. INC means incorporated. All right, which is the management agent, meaning over this property. Like Harbor Square, that's a management agency over this property. An owner. Okay, it's also the owner of this property. Okay, the owner's representative for Harbor Square Apartment Complex, or LP, or BBA, which means Harbor Square Apartments. Okay? It says, as the management agent, that's what it says in the abbreviated form, what we said. It is our responsibility to manage and also maintain the community according to federal and state law and local government authorities or regulations. It says, under these very regulations, American Apartment Management Company, Inc., or its representatives, which would be the management, will be responsible, that are at your resident property, for resident selection or monthly reports, and also establishment of sound management, meaning it's running like it's supposed to, and they're actually in check for their policies and procedures as property managers, and maintenance policies are being followed. Now, office hours. If you're at apartment, some of these hours may vary where you are in the country. So this may apply to you if you're in Harbor Square, because this is current for here, but it may be at 8 o'clock in some places, it may be 9 o'clock in some places, it may be 9:30 at some places. But the office hours for Harbor Square and the telephone numbers and also emergency contact details are posted at the office and are also listed here below. So it's got the phone number. I'm not going to give it because people that live here at Harbor Square, it's 804-730-1284. The hours of operation for this location is 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Fridays. Okay, Monday through Friday. It says, please use these hours to conduct your business with all management office team members. Okay. It says, we request that you please be considerate of your management personnel team. It says, we must answer your emergency calls also even after hours. It says, please do not call after hours unless there is actually an emergency. Okay. Now, listed are below or items that we would consider to be an emergency. An example, no-brainer, fire. Okay. Number 2, flood or storm damages that are occurred. Criminal activity or activities or robbery. Immediate insurance hazard affecting the reputation or financial strength of the property. Okay, so this is also given to the management too as well. So it's like it's given to us, but it's also to them too. Like if someone's causing a threat, this is where you would report that. Number 5, other events that may jeopardize the very health or well-being of any residents. Okay. All right. Number 3, maintenance. Okay. I think we did them all. We're going to do number 3 is maintenance, so that's a separate part. All right. Now listen. Normal services repairs are to be conducted during business day hours, and they're from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. It says we ask that all tenants or requests for maintenance to be made directly to the management office, all right, so that your requests can be recorded and that work can actually be scheduled. Okay, it says your request for service or authorizing the management and or maintenance personnel to enter your very apartment unit during normal operating working hours. It says appointments will be considered on a case-by-case basis. Okay, so it's like first come, first serve. All right. Now listen. All right. A preventative maintenance program is assigned to each apartment. It says in order to perform the preventative maintenance program, we must enter your very apartment unit as the tasks are being scheduled to be performed. All right. A notice will then be provided by the management team informing you when we plan to enter into your apartment unit. Okay. To perform these preventive maintenance program types of tasks, in that we have Also, when we're finished with that, we will give something to let you know that we completed the maintenance that was scheduled. All right, now in advance, it says written notice of intent to enter your very apartment unit will be provided whenever, if possible. I mean, it should be provided, but the man was here. He don't have to give me. I know they're here. I was with them, so he don't have to give me a notice. I don't care because I was with him. He's not bad, so I trust him. All right, residents are responsible and will be billed for any repairs that are due to your negligence, meaning if you cause damage or deliberate obstructions, for any and all items that have been damaged beyond normal wear and tear. Okay, that means like it wears out. You know, like the garbage school locked up. I didn't damage it, but it just happens. And motors do wear out every once in a while. And for excessive damages that were resulting from your failure to report a problem to the management office team. It says any defective or inoperable items or conditions that may develop within your very unit. It says in your apartment are not considered justification for refusal to make your rental payments. They try to say that, but there's some reasons. If they say some reasons, you can do that by law. If they do not give you adequate reasons or do not respond, actually, you can refuse to pay your rent in certain cases. Please check with your state code and violations with rental procedures and codes with rental conduct and also laws and rights that are under renter and also tenant rental acts, Section B. All right, now listen, I want to tell you, because see, I've already did a lot of research on this, so I know a lot about this. I used to rent properties, okay? So if a resident does not report a problem or of any kind or a water leak of any damage that was caused by this defective piece or malfunction equipment or item, it says by water the leak, we mean that the resident's unit, if there's damage that was done there or that was adjacent to the other units that are below and around, says this will result in damage and charges will be against that resident because will be incurred by the resident because of the damages. So let's say if your water heater breaks, I'm going to give you an example because they don't do that here. But to make it more understanding and plainful for those people who may have trouble reading this, because I know a lot of people who live here have problems understanding what this form is. Okay, so we'll break it down for you. Say if your water heater breaks, that would not be your fault. If water leaked through the ceiling and it leaked on all your apartments below and around, that would not be your fault because water heater breaks. When they break, they burst, and that's not your fault. However, damages will be caused. That's why you have property insurance. Yes, your insurance would cover that. Okay, if you don't have that, you're fucked. But the thing is, if it happens, the apartment complex is not going to reimburse or pay for damages that were caused by a defective water heater or pipe damage. That's why you have property insurance or rental insurance. Okay, if you don't have it, you're kind of playing dice with risk because that will happen. Number 4, payment of rent. So we're going to talk about that. If rent is not paid on or before the 5th of each and every consecutive month, says collection proceedings such as you'll be $5 for the first day and $2 for every day additional after that will begin assessing stated in your lease agreement form. Okay, so any delinquent notices will also occur that has been required by law, state and federal law, and are deemed appropriate by the management team will be delivered according to state and also local laws and federal laws. Okay, the late fee will also be limited also by HUD regulations and state and local and governmental laws. It says whichever is more restrictive for any resident receiving any rental assistance from a government entity. All right. Now, if rent is not paid by the 5th day of the month, the late fee, this is how it says it, as defined in paragraph 5 of the lease agreement. Okay. Now you'll get a late fee, like we just said. I told you what those were. $5 for each day is what it is here. It may be different where you live, but this was rolled out to all apartment complexes, so we're going to read it like it's a standard form to all public housing, because this is what you get. You'll get the same thing or similar duration of what we're reading. And as the lease says, as delivered in paragraph 5 of the lease agreement. All right? Now, no partial payments will be accepted, meaning you won't get no grace because you gave half of your rent and then it was late. They're still going to charge you because you have to give full payments. They're not going to just give you have to give the full payment. They won't accept partial payments. Okay. If judicial actions has been required, says the resident will be required to pay all delinquent rent or other associated charges and other late fees and court and other attorney's fees to remedy the demand for payment. Okay. Now, payments must be made by check, money order, or cashier's check from a local bank. A check returned by the bank will be treated as a delinquency. Okay, I mean, you'll be charged that fee, $5 the first day, $2 each additional day after that. You get up to the 18th, in the lease agreement it says you get up to the 18th of the month before they actually will give you a retainer. So if you have a certain circumstance, if you're late, make sure you get it in before the 18th day of the month. All right? Now you are responsible for late charges and fees until the return check has been paid in full. It says a service fee, it goes ahead and tells you, of an actual bank processing charge, which is $35 for a return check, will also be a charge after 2 return checks, and then you will be required to pay by certified check or money order thereafter. I pay by money order not because of that, but I pay because they like to hold your checks and play games with your checks. Sometimes they'll hold it for 30 days before they cash it sometimes. So I think they were just trying to single me out. The money was there, but then they didn't use it, and then I had some problems with them. So I just used my, I just went and did that because I didn't want to have all those problems. Number 6, resident organization. Okay. Now, the management team does encourage all residents to become a part of the apartment community. They want you to take part in all the activities and exercises that happen and things that they do. Management recognizes the very fact that the very strength of this community is also enhanced by all residents' participation in the community. Okay? Now, this also includes input for reestablishing recreational programs such as parties, cookouts, events. That's why it's good to go to these meetings with the community meetings that we have. Social activities, okay? It says when residents form an organization, there should be an executive, okay, committee, okay? So that's one that presides, that looks over the committee, okay, with whom the management team can also work alongside with and also meets the minimum requirements that has been established by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Authority, known as HUD. Number 7, resident behavior. Okay, all residents and their very guests must be at all times conduct themselves as in a manner which is generally accepted as a reasonable standard of behavior. So legal. You abide the rules and regulations, yada, 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 which does not interfere with the ability of other residents who live in the adjacent units or in other buildings or their guests, okay, that they have over, and also to be peacefully and also enjoy all the benefices, and also loitering or congregating in common areas is prohibited. Meaning not allowed. says all electronic devices such as phones, tablets, computers, radios, boom boxes must be controlled to a noise level that cannot be heard in the adjacent apartment or in common areas like outside where people meet. Some people might not like the music you play. They may be offended by it. They may get very upset by it. It says all, okay. Now it says neither residents or their very guests may display any intoxicating or toxic beverages in public areas or on the grounds. Okay? It says neither residents nor their guests may at any point in time allow for themselves to become intoxicated publicly while on the property grounds. Okay? Public intoxication is prohibited, meaning not allowed, in public and parking areas on the property. Okay? It says it right there. There's nothing wrong with that. There's understanding. It's a liability issue. It makes it look bad for the business here. It makes it look bad for other tenants, and it's not good. It can cause problems and damages and things. There's a reason for that. Any manufacture and sale or use of any drug, including medical or cannabis, marijuana, is considered, now listen to this, illegal under federal and state law. Okay? And any property receiving a resident that receives federal assistance is not allowed under state law, says the owner, which is American. We told you who that was, HUD. HUD and the owner has the sole right to terminate tenancy or assistance for anyone or household member who is alleged to be using illegal controlled substances. So that means, what does that mean there? There's a flag. What does that mean? Okay? How could it be illegal? Maybe you got the drugs and they were illegal. Maybe they have your name on them. How are they illegal? All right. Now, what does that mean? That could mean that they could be doing that. We don't know. It could mean that, but basically it means if you have drugs that don't belong to you in your apartment, then that would be an illegal substance. We can look at it that way because that's not wrong there. If you got some drugs in your apartment and they're in bags and things, that's illegal. But if you have it in a label and it's got your name on it, then of course they're not going to throw you out or terminate release because you've got a prescription to take it. But that's a controlled substance. All right? So smoking is not allowed in common areas of the property or project common areas. I think it should say property common areas. It says including all interior areas of the property other than individual apartment units. And you're allowed to smoke in those areas in their apartments. But or they have designated exterior areas, that means outside. Okay? Residents or their very guests should not or will not interrupt or disturb organized activities and may be located in public areas, all right, on the property grounds. Residents are not permitted to babysit or to keep children at any time who are not members of the resident's household, okay, in their apartments on a regular basis, unless they get written approval by the management team. Okay, it actually says that in the lease agreement. So, all residents are required to maintain appropriate dress. I mean, you can't go out in your bra or underwear or go out with nothing on. All right, you gotta be dressed when you go out the doors at all times. Not in a robe, not with the bra hanging out, boobs hanging out, and all that. No. That's what we want to make sure you understand. Appropriate dress should always be when you're in public areas and while on the property grounds. Okay? So whatever you do in your apartment, that's your business. But when you go out the door, make sure you're wearing proper attire. All right. We're on number 8. That's a student or resident, I want to say, resident complaint and grievance programs that are in place. Okay, this is regarding that. All right, a complaint that is regarding a neighbor must be put in writing. It must be signed and dated and must be state the specific problem or problems. It should also describe what you have done to bring the matter to the neighbor's attention and what the response has been from the neighbor. Okay? This procedure must always be followed so that a record has been attained on or in case, on a file in case there is legal actions that must be taken, if necessary. All right. The procedure to follow if you have a problem or grievance with an employee of the property, or if you have a general complaint about the very appearance or operation of the community, is to put this complaint in writing, just like you do with the personal one, and deliver it to the management for his or her action or approval or whatever. All right. Also, please mail a copy also to the regional property manager at the address that has been provided by the management office, and keep a copy of this complaint or grievance for your personal records. It says, if you believe that there was or has not been an adequate response to your inquiry to the problem, then you should contact your regional property manager of American Apartment, a management company, Inc. Okay, not the office here. So if you feel like you have not got your response, you need to contact them, because that's the next step. You resolve it with the local office here first, then you go that step. All right, this communication should be in writing, okay, outlining the very problems and specifics, and describing exactly what has transpired or happened to the very date. Okay, you may also obtain the regional property management or manager's name from the community manager it's in your location. Okay, so the written communication should also be mailed also to the regional manager office at American Apartment Management Company, Inc. It just sounds like a tongue twister. Located at 708 South Gay, that's what it says, Gay Street. I know, I thought that was a typo, but it's what it says. Suite 200, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37902. Number 9. Okay, resident and insurance. Regarding your insurance, what are you supposed to have? Okay? We're going to look at that. Residents are responsible for insuring their personal property and possessions or belongings for loss, damage due to fire or other damages or robbery. It says the insurance, all residents are, the insurance coverage is not, on the property, I think is what they mean here, but they didn't write this, is not responsible for damage to your personal belongings. All right, so a detailed list should be available with your description of your property. If you have any serial numbers to your vehicle or electronic devices, and